Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Mosaic podcast. I can't believe it. All of a sudden, people are coming out of the crevices. I did a podcast the other day, which you haven't even heard yet, with a beautiful, beautiful, heart-centered woman. And I think something came out of her even on the podcast. I can't wait for you to hear it, Dee Wong. And what came out of her on the podcast is she's so comprehensive and so thorough and so competent but we got to a place where she actually literally opened up with me and said some stuff on there that was really beautiful, really sensitive, really vulnerable, really warm. And I don't think it had been a day until the person I have on my podcast today, which you are going to be so excited to meet, emailed me and said, "Did you just do a podcast with Dee Wong?" And I said, "Yes, I did." He said, "I want to talk to you. I want to do it." I said, "Gosh, let's have you on my podcast. We have this mutual love feast that we don't even know each other, but maybe that's why we love each other, because we don't know each other. But we're going to find out, and we're going to find out soon." He's going to have me on his podcast immediately after this. So what impressed me most is not his resume or the work that he does. And you can find all of that at www.sternmarketingagency.com, which will be in the show notes. Don't worry about writing it down right now. You'll be able to get it.
Okay, so it's Stern Marketing Academy.
Stern Marketing Academy. Did I just, I changed it from agency to academy, and then I read it as agency. It is sternmarketingacademy.com. It will be in the show notes right below. Okay. So you already see I'm sort of bumbling through this Sunday afternoon.
Okay.
But what touched me more than anything is the speed in which he responded. And what interests me is that when people are doing their work, when people are doing their life, and an opportunity comes, and I spoke about this with Dee too. She said, you just got to know that when something comes up, you got to move with it. And we talked about all the stuff that gets in your way of that. And she said, I just don't have time for that. And now when Darrell came and did exactly that, he heard about me, he contacted me, he said, I want to talk to you. That was Friday. I said, okay, here's my Calendly link. He signed up today for Sunday. It's like Sunday. Are you kidding me? Anyway, that's what impressed me most. You can read all about him, and I'm going to say it right this time, at www.sternmarketingacademy.com. And you'll read all the stuff that you need to go. But right now, I just want to bring him on. Darrell, welcome to the Mosaic podcast. What an honor to have you. What a joy to be with you.
Get Stern, I'm on it. I saw, you had just worked with Dee Wong, and I am her virtual CMO right now, among other projects and things that I'm working on. And I saw it. I saw the Mosaic podcast. I said, this is about philosophy and issues where people can really, open up. And what better thing to do on a Sunday afternoon than to get together on your virtual couch here and really have a deep talk, and just really examine life. Isn't that awesome? I mean, what a great opportunity to do today. So I just clicked the button. We had an opportunity, 4 p.m. I said, I'm taking it.
I love it. And had we known a little bit more, I don't smoke and I don't drink, but I would have sat with you with cigars and bourbon or vodka or something, and just sat on the couch and just had this conversation that way with you, even though I don't do either of it. So let's have a virtual cigar in our hand and a glass of scotch and just sit here and relax with each other. Okay.
Yeah. That's going to be an episode 2 live from San Diego that we'll do in a couple weeks.
Okay, sounds good.
I'm already projecting, more work, more opportunities to hang out with you.
I see. I like it. I'm all for it. So whatever comes, let it come. Mm-hmm. Darrell, what did your parents do?
My mother. Well, okay. So when my mom was born in 1945, I guess that's baby boomer. And
your mom was born in 1945?
Yeah, she was born in 1945.
Now you're making me feel old. I was born in 1955. So you can start calling me daddy.
There you go. I am. I already said, adopt me already. I want to move to San Diego. I don't like it here in Denver. It's too cold. Thanks, Dad. So anyway, I don't know where you've been all these years, but nice
I,
to talk to you
I've
again. I mean,
abandoned you.
I
Now
know, for Pete's sakes.
now we're having to put
You
up with
could
it.
be my dad. Like, just looking at you, you look similar to my father and my whole family. So I think this is it. I think this is my long, who knows, maybe my mom, was with another guy.
My
And I'm
condolences
not
to you
in
then.
my
If I
entire
look
life. But
like your
anyway, that's
dad,
another podcast.
that's
That's another podcast.
it is. So
Okay.
what did they do?
My mother created the Gifted and Talented program in Rahway, New Jersey, which is famous for the Rahway prison, because that's where most of the young kids ended up. It's a underprivileged, urban, more type of class community. And she wanted to do something that would make the kids have a chance at something better, and to take, certain selected students out of the regular classroom programs and give them amazing experiences. So she wrote the program that got the grant for it, which of course she was very angry because the superintendent of schools, put his name on the proposal. I remember her being very angry because, she did it, and yet that's the thing. So these are the types of things that in the 70s, still went on. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was about to do her famous course, win her famous cases that would create more equal rights, and we were just at the beginning of all this. So so she created that thing, and then she did that from the 70s all the way through the beginning of the 90s until they cut the program. So I grew up in curriculum, if that makes any sense, going to a store at Woodward Center Mall called Hammett, which was for school supplies, like, I don't know what you call it, like bulletin board paper and all that kind of stuff, and helping her, going to her classroom and helping set it up. And then my dad, who was 23 years older than my mom, he got his doctorate in philosophy right around that time when I was born, and he was a philosophy professor at Kane College, which then became Kane University, which before that was Newark State College.
Wow.
In the late 60s going in the 70s. So my family was education, 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 and then we talked about education some more.
I bet. So where did that propel you? Like, knowing that that's what happened. First of all, between your mom and your dad, whose approval was more important to you?
Wow. Whose approval was more important? Okay, so I'm going to fast forward and then go backwards. So my father passed away in 1996, just before I turned 25.
Wow.
And my mom, out of the blue sky, came home in 1998 and said, I have third stage ovarian cancer.
Ooh.
They didn't find it in time, and she passed away when she was only 57.
Wow.
So it's funny when you ask that question, because enough time, one thing I don't know what topics we're going to, but I have a theory that time heals all wounds, right? And that people that are in the middle of depression or loss or grieving or anything that has happened, there's this expression, give it time, but I don't think people understand, like, give it a decade and a half, like give it 15 years, and you won't be thinking about it every day that you wake up. You won't feel the guilt. You won't feel really remorse. You won't feel it. You'll just go about your day. And when my mom passed, before she passed, she said two things to me. She said, you got to let me go. And that it's your time now. So I've come to the conclusion that with all this, all these self-development things and blah, 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 and, find your purpose and da-da-da, and da-da-da-da-da-da. I go, look, we're frickin' mammals, okay? We're alive for a certain length of time. We eat, we sleep, and we poop, and then we expire. That's the base level of our existence. We're mammals, period. That's all that is the essential thing that we know is the universal truth of everything. We're alive for a certain amount of time. We need to eat, we need to sleep, and we need to poop, and that's it. So everything else is just like added drama and added things in our society that we made up to do, and we're consciousness, so we have to think about it, and it makes it so complicated. But that's the base level of it. So, yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just interested. Who taught you that? Because, one of the things that I do with people, and I feel for you that you lost your mom and dad so close to one another. I lost my dad when I was 13, and my mom 2 years later on the same day, 15.
Wow. Okay.
And now I'm almost 65.
Wow.
So interestingly enough, about 3 weeks ago, a friend that I knew from growing up when my mom and
Hmm.
dad were alive
Yeah.
found me on Facebook
Isn't that funny?
and sent me a message. And I haven't talked to him in, gosh, I'm going to say 50 years.
Yeah.
And his name was familiar to me,
Yeah.
but nothing else that he said was. And
Yeah.
so what I'm really interested in is this idea of time heals and decade and a half heals.
Hmm.
Because what I found in my own life, really to be very vulnerable with you, is I don't know so much that it heals as much as I buried it down underneath so much stuff that when he said, Danny, you don't remember we had a group, we had a music group that we played in every, we came over to your house every day and we were writing songs for this musical group. We played in the school. After we finished writing music, we went to the schoolyard and started and played ball. You don't remember that? And I said, Howie, I'm so sorry to say that I don't, but it's just like this veil has been put over me.
Well, I think when you say, okay, so hold on. So I think when you say buried it down, it sounds like it's something that was something bad or whatever. And it's not, that's not it. It's that in our life, right? We there are moments when we have these epiphanies and these things in our events in our lives, that change us or that drill into us a philosophy on life. And those are the specific memories that we hold on to. I can go back instantly in my mind to I'm about 2 or 3 years old. I'm
Yep.
in the living room in Colonia, New Jersey. There's this curved chair. I'm jumping off of it thinking I can figure out how to fly if I just concentrate enough. Like I can go to that moment, in my mind, whenever I want to. I can rewind to that. But if you ask me exactly what happened this day when I was 7.5 or whatever, no, I don't remember that,
Yeah.
kind of specific thing. So with my father being a philosophy professor, I know we didn't get back to your original question. You had an original question. I'm searching for it in my head.
That's all right.
Anyway, but okay, so all right, so go back and ask me a different question, or
So,
ask me the
so,
same question
so the
again.
question
Yes.
really is, whose approval did you
Oh,
seek growing up?
so my point is that I don't remember. That's
Yeah.
my point. Is that I don't remember. Is
Okay.
that I will tell you that my mother was very overprotective of me. I seizured very badly when I was born.
Wow.
They thought maybe the umbilical cord was wrapped around my neck or something like that. There was a car accident that my parents had before who knows. But so I seizured very badly. The doctor took me away from my mother and said, your son's going to be a vegetable. He's not going to be able to walk, talk, or think. They thought
Wow.
I lost so much oxygen and, to my brain, I'm shaking wildly like a leaf. So that led to other issues, which we'll get
So
into
hold
later.
on one second.
Yeah.
Do you remember that, or were you told that?
Nah.
Okay.
No,
All right.
I was probably unconscious, and yeah,
Okay.
I was an infant 2 seconds into my life, so no, I do not,
Yeah.
I do not remember that at all.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you're saying like, who do I feel most proud of? Okay. So here's what I do know. Like my father was a philosophy professor. He taught me etymology. Words have meaning. When we were so I'm 2, 3, 4 years old. My mom is off at her school teaching, and my dad, to babysit me, puts me in his philosophy class. And I remember the way that building smelled, the way the fiberglass, I don't know what the walls were, the 70s architecture,
Yeah.
Frank Lloyd Wright, kind of whatever, groovy cube-like building. It had a very distinct smell and all that. And I was in his philosophy class. So I don't remember. I mean, I can see it. I can see his office. He had some kind of a British looking soldier art thing on his wall and some other little, artifacts or whatever you want to call it. But he believed that words have meaning, and the words that you're using are what really determine, your thought patterns, and then that's what determines what happens in your life. So as we got older, me and my little brat brother, which we can talk about, my relationship with my brother in another episode, but we're siblings and we love each other and we hate each other simultaneously at the same time. But when Shaggy Doo came out and the Valley Girls, like in the 80s, right? And everyone would be saying, like, well, like, it's like, he would slam his hand down on the kitchen table and say, it's not like. It either is something or it isn't something. It's not like something.
Wow.
And when I would say, he would say, no, I don't know. Now, here's your goal for the rest of the week. Listen to the past couple episodes that you've done and listen for the word basically. This is our new hiccup word. We seem to have a problem as Homo sapiens species, right? Where our thoughts are gathering and formulating the words that we're going to speak, but we want to make a noise leading up to that. So we pick on some hiccup sound or word to fill in that gap, because we believe we always have to be making noise, when really when we're calm, when we're centered and articulate, we don't have to speak right away. We can gather our thoughts and then speak. So, but right away we want to be we want to give an answer. So we say, basically. So listen for that this week. Everybody's saying basically. I don't know whether it came from a movie or not, but I slam my hand down on the table like my father did before me and say, there is nothing basic about you.
Yes.
What you're going to tell me is not basic. It's extraordinary. So stop calling it basically.
So sit with me and go and turn left with me a moment here, because
Okay.
I'm very intrigued by what I heard you just say.
Can you still hear me if I turn to the left?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
So I'm very intrigued by what I just heard you say. Two things. One is, I think I would have liked your dad, because I have a theory that says our thoughts become our words make up our stories, and our stories create our life. And
150%, yes.
If we don't like any portion of that equation, if we don't like where our life's at, we can either change our stories, we can change our words, we can change our thoughts. And in changing those thoughts, our story has to change, and our life has to change. So it's a fabulous formula to get out of something you don't want to be in, if you don't want to be in something. But that wasn't what intrigued me, even though that is what intrigued me.
Okay.
What intrigued me was how vivid your memory was of your dad's office, down to the British soldier that you saw, and the smell of the room. Mm. And how, when I asked you whose approval did you seek, you just said, I don't remember that.
Because I don't think I sought approval. I don't know what that means. Like, I didn't seek approval. My parents believed in unconditional love. They believed in providing me with every opportunity that they could, for me and my brother to have as imaginative as creative childhoods as we can. Literally, I was raised on Disney movies and going to Disney World. Disney World premiered in 1971, the same year I was born. If you can dream it, you can do it, Walt Disney. And that's how I grew up. We had a black and white TV, no internet. I remember, and it was reruns of the Mickey Mouse Club, Lost in Space. My grandmother, of course, watched soap operas and I Love Lucy. And there was a show on PBS called Zoom that I really liked. And, of course, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, which got me into theater, which started my whole life. I mean, Mr. Rogers was God among men.
So let me interrupt, because I don't want to get caught down too much.
Go down.
Okay.
Don't go down that rabbit hole.
No, I'm happy to go down it, but we don't have enough time to. So I'm wondering if people listening to the podcast now, and I'm trying to capture their voice because I sort of hear it, can even perceive of an environment where a son didn't look for love or approval from his parents because his parents gave it so steadily to him. Is that what you're actually saying?
Well, yeah, and we're all in it. Believe me, when I get now I'm divorced. I've lived in Denver for the past year, and past 10 years, and I'm meeting people, half my age or a quarter my age or whatever, that coming up the pike, and stories of abuse and horrible things and people out on the street and da-da-da-da-da. And the music that comes out now and the things that kids learn about at very early ages, and whatever happened to AIDS and abstinence, which came about right when I was in 8th grade, the sexual time when you're 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, and out comes AIDS. And we were all taught, it's a disease with, all this and abstinence and all that. It was a disease
that would kill you. I mean, it
would kill you.
Right,
Sex would kill you. Right. And now we're back to anything goes and whatnot. And wow. I mean, really, it's shocking. Yes.
I grew up the generation before you that was Woodstock. That was, oh my God, it was love and peace and sex and good music, and it was so free that it almost was just as if something had to come to put a damper on that. Okay,
Anyway, yes.
But I want people to see in listening to this that what seems to be almost common now of parents separating, of abuse happening, of people feeling beaten, of people feeling not understood. When I was growing up, I grew up in a beautiful family. And some of that I romanticized because my mom and dad passed away early.
Yes.
But a lot of it was true. We had what younger people won't even know what it is. Google it, Ozzie and Harriet. We grew up in this beautiful, idyllic place where my mom worked. We were a lower middle class family. My mom worked in the synagogue, but she got home because she wanted to make sure there were cookies and milk on the table when we came home from school. And that was what was important. And there was never a night that we didn't have dinner together. There was never a night that we didn't come. There was never a night where we had something interrupt our dinner together, like people being on their cell phones, because cell phones didn't exist. Internet didn't exist. Our worlds were much smaller then. So how did you go from that place?
Yeah. Okay. So there's
education.
Okay, now I'm going to go down. Okay, finish the question. I'm sorry.
How did you go from a super educated environment where there was no internet, there was no very little entertainment, to what you're doing now, which is, if I understand it correctly, is helping people present themselves online in a theatrical way that is actually entertaining and vivacious and alive and captivating, just like you would when you would go to theater.
I will get to that in 2 seconds. So here's the problem. World War II, women go to work, right, for the first time. Men come back from war, women don't want to give up their jobs. Holy crap, we just broke the society in half. By the 60s, right, revolution and da-da-da-da-da-da, right? Then, though, what happened was some bankers and some people and all that got together and said, well, what if we separated out the nuclear family in the 50s and 60s with the rise of television? Now we have the suburbs. Why? Because it sells a heck of a lot more for refrigerators and cars, which are the foundation of the American economy from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. Okay. So then all of a sudden in the 90s, this starts to crack in half. Kids are moving back with their parents. Now go watch The Waltons or Little House on the Prairie. Look it up on Netflix, kids. Where everybody before that lived in a family unit because you couldn't survive without being in a family unit. So so commercialism or whatever, really smart marketers broke us apart and it didn't work. And then also we had this ninwad named Ronald Reagan who decided to get us out of the energy crisis and the problem by saying, heck with it, just print more money, screw it, put us into debt, take out loans with China or whatever the hell it was. And that created this thing that's gone unchecked for my entire lifetime called inflation. Now, 2 people have to work full-time jobs to barely be lower middle class. And that's why all the divorce and all the problems and the thing and the blah, 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 blah. We did it to ourselves. It's unchecked economic, socioeconomic factors that have then created differentiations and behavior patterns that then have made what we think is, wow, why are people so divorced and blah, 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 blah. Look at the economic, socioeconomic things that have changed. And it's blatantly obvious to me. So anyway, okay, so that was pretty theatrical, right?
So what I like about you is that you don't have many opinions. I really like Oh, decent.
I figured it all out. So get Stern. That's my hashtag.
Okay.
But what I'm getting at is I love the study of look at what really happened. Look at one of the issues with the scary thing about the internet and then kids these days saying, oh, who needs to go to college? Oh, so hold on. So now we're not going to learn about the ancient Greeks and we're not going to learn civics and what the Bill of Rights actually gives us as a right and the Declaration of Independence. Oh, screw that. We're just on the internet and with capitalism and we can all just woo. What's that? It's very scary. Oh, it's scary.
So
scary.
What scares you most about that?
The return of imperialism, the return of a dictatorship, the return of the monarchy, it's all right in front of us. It's what's happening. But here's what, I was just at City Summit in Las Vegas, in California, and Richard Dreyfuss, who's coming out with this amazing book soon, the famous actor, what's
Yeah.
uncommon is now common, or something like that. That's the name of it. And what he says is that it's not that we're forgetting anything. It's that we're simply not being taught it for some reason. Like there used to be civics class in public school. It moved over to social studies, and now they kind of skip it.
Yeah.
So let's skip, teaching anybody how the government's really supposed to work, which is of the people, by the people, for the people, period, end of report. It's our land that we're doing it, and we lost total control. The people have lost total control. Okay,
Yeah.
Meanwhile, why is it so theatrical? So as you can see, as they get heated up about my opinions, I become very theatrical. In acting, in the Stanislavski method, I'll give you a brief theory of acting in the world. There's melodramatic, opera, melodramatic, because they had to sing it really loud because no one could hear it 3 rows back. You couldn't have a dramatic scene because there was no amplification. I mean, that's one reverse engineered reason as to why big theater and melodrama, would develop first. Then this Stanislavski and the Russians come along and say, if you want to have, you write a dramatic play where your mom really dies in the play, and you're going to think about when your dad or your mom really died and feel that as a human being and act that out. That's realism, as opposed to melodrama. The actors then started to have what we would call a motivation, which means, what is my motivation in saying this line of dialogue? Now, Danny, I could say, I love your podcast, right? Or I could say, yeah, I love his podcast. Right? What is my motivation? One is to tell people I love it, it's amazing. And the other is to say, oh my God, check that out. Long and philosophical mush from the 60s. I want to go play Nintendo. But anyway, so that's intention. So I put the theater away. I did not become Brad Pitt. I did not become leading man type. And in acting, they characterize you. You're either going to be the fat guy or the skinny guy or the nerd or the jock and the sex symbol. So I didn't really fit any of those. And I kind of just got tired of, I inherited my father's impatience. I had the patience for anything. I'm Darrell Stern. They applaud for me. Now, what is the problem here? Why isn't everyone clapping already when I walk into the room? So, okay, marketing is theater. So all of a sudden, a couple years ago, I start doing these exercises with people where I talk about what are the events in their life that made their philosophy and their ethics. Like, where do they stand in what are their opinions? Because we all have these opinions, and if you've heard the Republican ones, you go, oh my God. Ha ha. Okay. But, sorry. This is funny. I'm sorry. I love CNN. I'm hooked on it. The drama, the political drama. I just love it. So anyway, so all of a sudden I'm talking to a friend of mine, a business colleague at a networking event. I say, I love this brainstorming, this kind of screenwriting, playwriting thing I'm doing for these landing pages. And he turns back to me and he says, you mean the Stern storming? Right? He called it Stern storming. And then all of a sudden, this thing called Stern storming came out. So I'm the kind of person that gives away the farm. That's why I run a $7 a month mastermind group in marketing, because I just want everybody to learn the basics. My parents are teachers. I believe in education. I don't want people just flustering around, not understanding the basic alphabet of internet marketing. I mean, come on, let's all get everybody past, into the first grade at least. So I'm writing some blogs and I'm writing with people these landing pages that are dramatic. And the one client that I'm working with says, you sound just like me. Like you're writing, and that's what I would be. That's how I would say it. And I realized I'm an actor. So I do digital marketing. That's my digital stage. And a lot of people have to understand this. There's a difference between the movie theater and the concession stand. The movie theater doesn't make any money off the movie tickets. They make it at the concession stand. So is what you're doing the movie ticket or the concession stand? And a lot of people got it reversed in their thinking. They think that this is what it is when that's just your hobby or your whatever. That's not the real thing. So then I realized that although I'm doing digital marketing for a living, I'm not. I'm doing theater and I'm directing theatrical productions. It's just a whole new way to set up the stage. And that's been the aha moment that is driving the rest of my career and the rest of my life, that this is a show, P.T. Barnum, whatever you want to call it, Walt Disney, all that. It's a show that I'm putting on, for people. Your podcast gives us all a time to reflect, a time to feel how our soul is doing, and really take a break from the rest of the buzz and the noise, and just kind of collect ourselves and really go deep into listening. And the other episode I was listening to, we're talking about listening.
Yeah.
And really coming into, like you said, your living room, where it's cozy, it's warm, but also it's deep in thought and philosophy and meaning, and how refreshing that is with my phone. The second I turn it on, did you know? So when you have your phone on in the office, right, and it goes do 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 do, my friend said that's a song called "You Are an Asshole." Ask me the next question.
Let me wind back. Because first of all, I love how you exhibit what you do, not only just talk about it. Because you can feel the theater, you can feel the drama, you can feel the excitement, you can feel how you get yourself into almost a frenzy, even just talking about it, okay? So you can see it acting out right before our eyes.
Yes.
But here's what I really want to know, and I really want you to be serious. This is not theatrical.
Okay.
I know a lot of people that are in movies and in actors.
Yeah.
And one of their biggest complaints is they have no idea who they are anymore. They've acted so much and so long and played parts so often and done so much beyond what they have to do. They don't even know what their voice is anymore. And I'm wondering, what your experience is with that? Have you, in your theatrics, have you lost the piece of your presence?
Not at all. I know exactly who I am and what I'm doing. I am a Jedi philosopher and marketing philosopher, like my father before me, period, end of report. What I can tell you is the core reason for all the school shootings and the Unabomber and 9/11 and all of that is one single word: loneliness. Period, end of report. Okay. We leave some of us for whatever situation or reason, right, end up extremely isolated and alone in our own thoughts, which become our own padded cell of madness, which drive us. Remember, we're mammals, right? Yeah. We eat, sleep, and poop. Other than that, it's just days. Like, ask yourself, if you lived in a jungle or whatever, and they fed you, you could poop, you could run around all day, wouldn't that be a happy life? Like, you just exist for a while. That's all we do as human beings. But then we all of a sudden have this high consciousness. So it's got to keep busy, right, for our entire lifetime, buzzing and thinking and blah, 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 plotting to take over the world.
So what if this whole story you're making up, because it's only a made-up story, you think it's real, but it's only a made-up story in your mind. It fits your way of thinking. It fits the dynamic. You've gotten so used to it that you've memorized it. You almost say it word for word every time you say it, I'm sure. What if that whole story just isn't true? What if it's not completely untrue, but what if parts of it aren't true?
I wake up, so now I wake up in the morning. I have a lot of times, and back when I was very much more, so I'm going to jump around here, but I have a testosterone deficiency. They found out when I was 43, they did a better MRI, I don't know, that I have a squashed pituitary gland. So I need to get a testosterone shot every couple of weeks, or else I feel like there's this black demon that just reaches into my heart, pulls me down to wanting to end my life. So I have struggled with what is me as the bipolar behavior from that, and who is Darrell Stern, right? Like, is this me? What is that? Whatever. The one thing, and so we all have. There's a book called Taming Your Gremlin that Katie Trost, marvelous business coach, 25 years old. On the positive side of the world, because there's a positive side, what young people have been able to do and how we're evolving to suck in so much more information and retain it and learn faster and absorb quicker is that our moment, let's say our age of maturity is getting sooner and sooner in life. But what she said, so this Taming Your Gremlin is about this. When we were in the jungle, there was a dark cave, and something in us caused goosebumps, and a little voice in our head, our little Jiminy Cricket, our consciousness said, don't go in there. There might be a black bear. black bears eat people like mom told us, right? So we are, or just some kind of intuition. Okay, so today that intuition says, well, maybe I put too many words in that email. I don't know. Should I text him back or not? Or her back or not? You know, does she like me or not? Like, that's the same thing. We have not evolved in the way that our biochemistry, mind, neuroscience, whatever works to adapt to how fast we have been able to come up with microchips, computers, and apps and Angry Birds.
I'm with you, but I want to pull you back.
All right.
Because remember I said when we get too teachy, this is not, you are not in your father's classroom now, nor are you in a classroom now. What I want to know is about you. Okay. And what I want to know is when you get into your persona of playing your part, of making life a stage and all of its actors, our theatrical performances. Do you ever sometimes wish you didn't have to be in theater? Do you ever sometimes wish you could just take a walk and just be yourself?
I don't know. That never came to my thought. It is myself.
Okay.
So I'm not an actor.
Let's
clarify.
Is it, as you sit now, take a moment and pause the story. There you go. Good pause. You're a theater guy. Look, you even have the actor of taking a pause. Take a pause for a moment and ask yourself, is there any possible chance that I'm just playing a part here and who the part that I'm playing isn't really me because I've been hurt so often and I'm so scared to show up as who I am that I've created this persona of me that is actually so powerful and so strong, and I can fast talk my way through any conversation that I'm in so that people never really get to see me. Is there any possibility that that exists?
So am I going to get to send you the bill for the therapist I'm going to need, like, after this podcast?
No, you're going to hire.
You're going to hire
You're going to hire me, and we're going to work it out. I am the bill.
This is your pitch. Oh, there you go. Oh, Mr. No Pitching. And now you're doing everything. I got you. I nailed it. No,
I'm a catcher. I'm not a pitcher.
This is the very last episode of the Mosaic because Darrell Stern has cracked the code of how you get people to get all the way to you need to hire you for therapy after you destroy myself. Okay, so to answer your question.
Let's go to the place where I asked.
So to answer your question, yes, so there's a public life, which is when I get to be on camera. Yes, I come alive and I'm an actor playing the role of myself on TV. Yes, 100%. In private life, I have a cat and I live in a place by myself and I spend most of my time by myself. It's isolating. When I go out to socialize, I have to force myself to socialize. Stage people are kind of, at least for me, I have no stage fright in terms of hopping on stage and being on stage, but then trying to talk to people and network and all that. I'm much better than I used to be, but being divorced and then, my mom and I got very codependent after my dad died. We became best friends. Like we went to the movies together and we were best friends. And now I'm 26, I'm 23, 24, 25, 26 years old. I met up with a friend from high school who hadn't seen me in years. And I told him this and he says, you can't be your mom's best friend. Like, that's weird, dude. Like literally he was like, that's weird. And it was very damaging and it was very wrong.
Yeah.
Because then what happened is I drove to Nebraska to meet a young lady that I didn't even know what she looked like. We had very primitive internet. It was on one of these chat room. It's not even an app. It's just a website that refreshes the page to see the other one. I know the kids are not even going to understand what this could be like. But we used to have cassette tape, answering machines and all that. Beep.
Times change. Keep going. Just don't get lost.
So I'm not getting lost. So I brought her back to, I basically went out there and kept telling this girl I loved her until she said, I love you back. I was 100% determined, even though I was on television and in movie sets and all that, all I wanted was a girlfriend. That seemed to be denied to me all the time. What I realize now, because of the hormonal deficiency, was that I was approaching a girl more like a girl would than a boy. In
Yeah.
other words, oh, you're so pretty, and I really like you. I didn't realize, that I wasn't very, macho. I wasn't one of the bad boys. I didn't ride a motorbike, and I wasn't in sports. And these are all made up bullshit excuses that I'm using now. The story that I'm telling myself to make myself feel better about it has nothing to do with one or the other.
Yeah.
So then I brought her back to New Jersey, and then my mom got sick. And it was really funny because her father was a mute, hardly said anything. These are people from Oberlin, Kansas, farmers. Yep. And my ex-mother-in-law ran the Frontier restaurant, she probably still does, on the 36 in western Kansas. Wow. So there's Route 66, then above it's Route 36. Yep. It's the one that didn't get enough PR. So Route 36 is like this to the rest of the highway. It's like, so that's what 36. Said it didn't have a cool enough name. So I was codependent. I was codependent on her. We didn't have any other friends. It was just me and her for 12 years. And that seems, after going through this dramatic transformation of getting the divorce, which I wrote 2 checks to get divorced, one for $500 and one for $166. Okay, I'm going to say that again, Daddy. Add up the numbers.
Right. I got it. You don't have to say it again.
You got it.
Right. Got it.
There you go. That's the amount in the audience if you want to get out a calculator. So, and then it was really the most amazing thing for me to realize, and I'm a very slow learner about obvious things. Like, I'm hiring somebody to clean my apartment starting Monday because I'm still waiting for so my mom was obsessive compulsive. She was very abused when she was growing up. She was a beauty queen. My grandfather, their last maiden name was Kraus, German. So I'm half German and I'm half Jewish and a part German. That's why sometimes I'm allowed to hate myself. So the
shtick. Now you're going to the shtick on me.
I'm doing a little shtick. Yeah.
So hold it. Because we have a break and because we're running out of time, I want you to see for yourself, and I want people to see, because this is you are such a beautiful illustration of what we all do. We all spin webs around what it is we are actually asking ourselves to do sometimes. Because we don't want to allow ourselves to go, that's why I closed off the place where my mom, from the pain of losing my mom and dad. That's why my friend Howie Edelman, I don't know anything about him anymore. I don't remember anything about him because I don't want to go into that place where there's so much pain there.
No, I don't remember it at all. I have to concentrate to remember my ex-wife and being with her. And that was 12 years of my life. And I have to concentrate to remember.
Imagine the beauty of a theatrical platform for you, where you could create the image you could create the personas and the players and the situations, and you could find your story and give it a theatrical presence to allow yourself to be yourself on a stage, but not necessarily be yourself alone with your cat. And so many successful people that I run into have a public persona and a private persona. And I'm just too dumb to understand that, because I would fuck it up all the time. I would forget who I am. So I'm just myself. And if people like it, great. If they don't like it, great. You don't what?
That's getting so cliche. Like, I forget who I am. What does that mean? You can see that you still have your own arms attached to you. So what
I think it just.
I just lost your picture. I lost you a little bit for a minute.
Oh well. Hold on. Is it back?
I see a still picture of you.
We're breaking the internet. So what I said. Let me see if the video will come on. What I have said, this is this weird thing where it just doesn't do the video. Okay, you will have to have no video on this. I don't know what's wrong with it.
You're going invisible, which is right in keeping with our conversation.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, exactly. So I would give anything to spend more time with my mom, obviously, to talk to her and my dad as an adult. What I've learned now that I'm older is that your parents are just people that happen to be older than you. They're screwed up. They have their own issues. They're just human beings that just happen to have been born before you. But other than that, they're just as messed up as you ever were. And the other part is that the only thing that I have the fear, and I wake up every day, or sometimes not every day, but I have this rambling thing of I'm going to die alone here, that I'm going to drop dead in this apartment. No one's going to care. No one's even going to notice. And, you know, I'm just going to rot and my cat's going to eat me or something like that. And it's melodrama and it's being a martyr and all that. But the one, Danny, and I've said this on podcasts and I think the most important thing is family. And when you lose family, you got to have family. And I'm still searching for and trying to make family. In your own company, you can have family. You can treat people as family. My mom and my ex-wife used to put their hand on. Let me see if I get the goddamn video back on. God damn it. Oh, God damn it.
It's okay.
This is important. It's the big moment. I don't know. Okay, hold on. It's my famous thing to say, by the way. I go, hold on.
Right.
Plugging that back in. There
There
it
you
is.
go. Okay.
I had to unplug and plug back in.
All right.
So, my mom used to put her hand on my cheek, and my ex-wife, when we were in bed together, you know, she put her hand like that. I'd sleep with my hand like this.
Right.
That sensation I didn't have for years, a decade. So to me, it's just all of this is just the gap between that, finding someone else who will do that.
Yeah.
And everything else is meaningless and silly. So if you want to say, well, where's the real Darrell Stern or the story underneath the story?
No, I'm
not being anybody else. Then this is, I'll tell you the blood honest truth of how messed up everything is. It's really funny with this influencer thing. I go, you don't want to be influenced by me. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm an educator though. And I'd like to teach you what I've learned from my experience, but I want to have no influence over you.
Right.
I do not want you to follow what I'm doing or anything, but I will. So, you know, and of course these terms are getting overused and I don't like them, you know, click funnels and funnel. The only thing I use, you know, with a funnel is baking. I don't bake. So I need a funnel.
So
anyway.
Let's segue a little because we're getting to the point where we unfortunately have to close down shop. When you look out the window of your home or you look out the window of your life into the world that's out there, is this the world you always dreamed we would hand over to future generations?
Okay, so I have seen, it's so amazing because there's 7 billion of us and what are 8 billion by now. And I remember in 8th grade, it was about 4. We learned in civics class back when they taught that, you know, so in our generation, it's what, doubled and a half or whatever, and more for you. So I've seen both epic kindness, epic charity, epic philanthropy in this age, and also epic loneliness and epic desperation. You know, we supposedly, so do you want me to get philosophical or more realistic? Where do you want me to go?
I want you to answer it however you feel comfortable answering it. It's just I get the grayness of what your answer is, but
I mean, I'll be very concrete. Our democracy is at stake politically and all that. I mean, it's a mess. I mean, we were letting other things control it, but supposedly, remember in 2012 when the world was supposed to end, I got into this Mayan calendar stuff.
2000.
We had the age of
2012. It was 2000. We were gonna. Why?
No, that was Y2K. I'm talking about 2012 with the Mayan calendar and the end of the world floods and epic whatever.
I must have gone to sleep.
There's a movie with John Cusack in it where they built the giant boat because the Noah's Ark thing was going to happen and blah blah. Okay, and everybody dies but a few people. So that was what. What really happened then is we reached another epoch, epoch, right? In human history, we now have a change in our consciousness every 20 seconds or every 20 minutes. It used to take us 10,000 million years. We discovered fire, then we made the wheel, then we discovered toothpicks, you know, or whatever. Like it just went on, like that. But now it's every 2 seconds. Like the internet that we built is a the physical form of the human consciousness. Literally, you can drop a ripple and it goes so fast through everything. And every 20 seconds, there's another one. It's going very fast. Now, hopefully, what the Mayans said and what this is supposed to be is the age of ethics. Now, follow me on this. Because we are so connected, if you go on Snapchat or you go on Instagram, I have friends in Turkey, Saudi Arabia, India, Russia, Morocco, United States, South America. And we all just chat about the latest TV show or some famous movie. Like, we're all best friends. There's no countries, there's no culture, barrier, there's nothing. But yet still the industrial war machines and the things that are the forces of evil, the dark side of the force, right, is still trying to carry on that scenario, that drama as you're talking about, where the story being told over here, it doesn't match it. And there is going to hopefully, I hope, be a crack open where everybody just all of a sudden realizes that we're all just Homo sapiens that need to drink, sleep, and poop for a while. And it's called the age of ethics, where we just have a common law of how to treat each other decently. Let's all pitch in. Everybody gets a roof over their head and some food, and let's take the big brainiacs of the world and come together and fix the energy and the clean water and da-da-da-da. Anyway, but to get there, the pendulum has to swing both ways radically. For there to be radical peace, there has to be radical disturbance first. So we just went this way. You know how the 60s, there was a study in theater class where the 60s happened because of the combining of this politics, this and that, and the arts and all like collided in a thing in time. And that created 1969, right? We're might be coming towards another one. I don't know, whatever, but people on their base level are beginning to understand more about human nature and the commonality of everything. And I bet you that if the forces that be said World War III, the people would go, what are you talking about? I just talked to my cousin in Iraq yesterday. Everything's cool, dude. Like, chill. And that would be the end of it.
So circle back.
And there's yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I got really, really crazy.
No, you're okay. I mean, I get it but in the same 1 hour conversation,
yeah,
we talked about how connected people are and how absolutely lonely people are.
Yeah.
And so, and the question in front of us right now is, if you had a child and your child had grandchildren, I don't know if you have children or don't have children. I'm going to say no. Okay. So it's a more guttural question when you have kids. I have kids, and I look out my window and I look at the world and I say, wow, this is the world that I'm going to hand over to my kids. And there are beautiful things in the world. I get it.
Yeah.
But there are so many painful places in the world. There's so many things that are going on. So when you look at it, you put it on the balance.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the world you always dreamed of handing over to the future generation? Yes or no? Simple.
Yeah.
Tell me about that world.
When I was in second grade, I had an Atari 400, third grade, whatever, Atari 400 computer. It was eighth grade. And I had a cassette tape backup drive. And my friend, Deepak Shenoy, called me up and said, we're going to have this thing called floppy disks, where when you put the floppy disk in, you're going to type a word like catalog and see all the programs. You won't have to rewind the tape. And you'll be able to hit run and just instantly your program will start. And I said, wow.
Right.
And that wonder is what always drives us forward. And look at the wonder that we have still ahead of us. There are currently a whole new group of, let's call them hippie hipsters, whatever. They live here in Boulder. They're out in Bali doing world conferences for peace and all that kind of stuff. Everyone is here and all that sort of thing. I'll tell you about what you're saying about leaving it to the next generation. You have to teach your kids what the Bill of Rights really means. You have to teach your kids civics. You have to make sure arts is still in your family, so that, because that's just our responsibility for what we need to hold on to as our responsibility. And as long as we do that, the dark forces of evil will never conquer us all, right?
Fabulous.
right?
So what I love hearing is, so often I ask that question and people say no. So if you'll allow me a few minutes just to summarize, because I want to honor our time, I want to honor your time, I want to honor our listeners' time as well.
Well, they said the same thing about Elvis in the 50s. They said
Right.
that was the end of time and it was Satan and, you know, come on.
Right.
Anyway, go ahead.
So what I want to do for our listeners is I just want to invite you to sit with this conversation, because I noticed at points in time, Darrell's a brilliant man. And I noticed at points in time his brilliance moving him in lots of different directions, which for me sometimes was a little hard to follow. And I wanted to pull him back, but I wanted to really just let him go, because there's so much in what he said that has room for pause. Do you, for instance, really believe, and I'm not asking you, Darrell, to answer, I'm asking this to the listeners as a unanswerable question right now. Do you really believe that we are just mammals that eat, poop, and wake up? Or do you believe we're something more than that? These are questions that are really important for us to decide. What is our voice? What do we say? I, for one, believe that's not true. I believe we're way more than that. But that doesn't mean that Darrell's wrong. I love the fact that he believes that. And I love the fact that I can listen to him with all this enthusiasm and I can hear a different point of view. And I guarantee you, I'm going to think more about what he said, because it's just interesting, because it's a different perspective. And so when you meet people, do you have the courage to listen to them and let them just go on the way that they go? Some of what would happen for me if we were actually sitting together, not under the confines of a 1-hour podcast that I think I have to produce, I would have been way more interested in going down some of those rabbit holes that we went down. Do you also love this idea as much as I do of turning everything you do into a theatrical performance online? Because this is our new stage. Everybody says, what's your platform? Well, guess what? A platform is a stage, and a stage, the way we present on our platform brings us people or loses us people. So do you love the enthusiasm of creating a theatrical way of saying what you're saying, just for the brilliance of entertaining people and giving people something that they want? I remember being friends with a psychic when I was at Hay House, and she would give readings, but she was such a theatrical presenter that people came to just hear her. She was funny. She made people laugh. People enjoyed her. And how are you coming across in your social media pitches? And are you presenting something that is flat and dry, or are you presenting something that people would enjoy and be entertained and laugh at and argue with and fight? And so if that's something that you're interested in, I hope that you will contact Darrell. And I'm going to give you again, his website is obviously going to be below in the show notes, but it's sternmarketingacademy.com. And I hope that you will invest in having him look at the way you present yourself, and look at the way you tell your story, and look at the way you entertain people as much as inform. Because if you're informing people only, you're probably boring. And do you find yourself sometimes entertaining so much that you lose sight of the person that doesn't want to entertain anymore? Do you lose sight of that person that is just quiet and peaceful and always has to be an entertainer for people, always has to be on board? Like, the beauty of being a digital entertainer is that when you're not digital, or when you're not in front of people, or when you're just with your friends or your family or people on a normal day-to-day basis, do you always have to entertain them as well, or can you just be yourself? And is there a difference? Maybe there's not. Maybe with Darrell, the beauty of Darrell maybe is he's become such an entertainer that he is like Cedric the Entertainer. You know, that his name is Darrell the Entertainer. You know, and there's nothing, like, none of these things are good or bad. They're just awareness questions that came up for me as I listened to this podcast myself. And I listened to the brilliance of this mind entertaining concepts and ideas that were interesting and intriguing and made me re-question the way I live my life as well. So I hope you will do that. Again, Darrell, I thank you for being on the show. We're going to have all your social media below us in the show notes. I want to say how honored I am to meet you. What a pleasure it was. What a nice surprise you were to pop into my life so quickly. I want to thank you, the listener, for spending your time with us. The most valuable commodity we have in the world is time. And for you to spend this time with us and just allow us to come into your living rooms, to be a fly on the wall in our living room, and appreciate these conversations or listen to these conversations that I have with people. What an honor that is that you give me each podcast to give to you. If you like the show, please like it on Apple Podcasts. If you like what we're doing, please tell your friends about it so we can grow it. By the way, just so you know, the entertainer in front of me has a list of 250,000 people. So if you want to learn how he did that, go again. I'm telling you, go to sternmarketingacademy.com and have a chance to let this brilliance of a man show you how to theatrically present yourself so that people will be entertained and enthusiastic, and sometimes they'll yell at you and scream at you because some of the things you're saying they just don't agree with, but that's what gets engagement. So thank you again, and until next podcast, stay connected, stay happy, and listen to the things you don't want to hear, because in those spaces are amazing discoveries.